Hello everyone, today is 22nd of February, Saturday, so I hope you will have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Now it's 9 o'clock in the morning, Moscow time. I am back in Moscow. As you can see there, friends, background, this is my improvised studio in a dining room in Moscow flat. And yes, that's why I was unable to make update yesterday, by the way. I was traveling to Moscow from Vladikavkaz. Anyways, it is 9 o'clock now, and I have prepared quite a number of news about some major developments for this update, and hopefully you will find it informative and interesting. Although before I start, dear friends, let me remind you, if I may, that this small, compared to big names in the game, this small independent media project from Russia is completely subscriber funded. And if you like my work, if you like my channels and think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work. You can do it through several means, with donation through PayPal platform or Boosty platform, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment, including crypto wallet, just in case. And also let me ask you, dear friends, to click that like button and leave some commentary while watching or listening to this update. It might be very helpful. Probably you noticed that lately YouTube's algorithm is killing my videos, unfortunately. Very few members of our community are receiving notifications or seeing videos whenever they open YouTube. And well, only way we can fight back is your likes and comments, so hopefully you will help me with that also. That's been said, let's go through some news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to latest reports, Russian armed forces established full control over their Ulagli settlement in DPR, Donetsk People's Republic. This is Ulagli on southern western flank of Pokrovsk sector. Also, Russian armed forces established control over their Nadievka settlement, also southern western flank of Pokrovsk sector. And Russian troops established control over the settlement of Berezovka, which is on the northern eastern flank of Pokrovsk sector. Clearly, we can assume that Russian armed forces further intensifying operations to basically cut off supply and support lines of Kiev regime forces in Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration with their pincer operation, and then either force garrisons of the Kiev regime in this major cities in this area to flee, or to lay down arms and surrender, because another choice that they would have, they're not gonna like. Also, dear friends, Russian armed forces further improving their positions in Chisovyar direction, and also on Kupiansk direction. Russian bridgehead on the right bank of Oskol River is getting bigger and bigger on daily basis, and it seems like Kiev regime's forces are unable to stop Russian advances in this area. And also we have updates from Kursk salient area, where Russian armed forces conducting counter-terrorist operation, and latest reports are that Russian troops are conducting offensive operation in the Sumy region. Russian troops crossed their border with their Sumy region from Kursk salient area, and now advancing towards Novinka settlement and Basovka settlement. And I guess it will not take long before both these villages, together with Zhuravka, will become under full Russian control. And this is when it comes to short summary. Obviously, if you are looking for more detailed information about developments on the line of contact, I recommend military channels for that. They are providing great volume of information. And during the night time, early hours of this morning, Russian armed forces conducted yet another wave of long-range precise strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of their Kiev regime. There was explosions in many areas, including Kiev and Kiev region, in Belaya Tserkov area, for example. And during the day, probably we will learn some more about these strikes, and I will share additional information on my Telegram channel and the Twitter X page in next updates. Also, Let's go through some other news now. And for example, we have this report from RIA Novosti that sources in Russian Defense Ministry told RIA Novosti that rumors that were circulating for the last several days on internet that Kiev regime is planning to conduct yet another offensive operation or yet another invasion into Kursk direction or Bryansk region. This information is not correct. The Russian Defense Ministry, based on the monitoring of the situation, is stating that the Kiev regime is in no position to conduct yet another invasion, as they did in the Kursk salient area several months ago. So these rumors are just that, just rumors that was spreading like wildfire for the last several days, that Kiev regime gonna launch offensive in the Bryansk or Kursk regions. It's not true, according to the Defense Ministry, but out of desperation, dear friends, Kiev regime and its Western backers, in this particular case, backers of the Zelensky and his criminal associates in Europe, in European elites, may actually go ahead with their next phase of escalation, which is, according to my reading of the big picture, is going to be nuclear phase or transformation, attempt at least of transformation of the Kiev regime into a nuclear armed regime. And the Russian leadership is clearly working on such a scenario also. And the Russian president or some other high-ranking officials previously stated that in no circumstances Moscow will allow Kiev regime to become nuclear. And well, now we have this reporter from RT that according to former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, high-ranking official still, Dmitry Medvedev, Zelensky could use a dirty bomb. So Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky could resort to use a dirty bomb and blame it then on Russia in desperate attempt to prolong the conflict with Moscow and disrupt peace efforts. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has claimed in a post on the VK social media network on Wednesday. Medvedev, who now serves as a deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, lashed out at Zelensky, calling him a puppet dressed up as a president of a disintegrated country. Referring to the US, he suggested that the Ukrainian leader has really pissed off his main benefactors, adding that President Donald Trump is now blunter about Zelensky's responsibility for starting the war and is demanding a report about the stolen funds while calling for new elections. Zelensky, whose presidential term expired last spring, has refused to allow a new election to be held, citing martial law. The Russian government no longer considers him to be legitimate leader of Ukraine. The rat, and then quote from Medvedev, the rat has been driven into a corner. Its behavior is now totally unpredictable, Medvedev said, arguing that this makes Zelensky extremely dangerous to the global community. Zelensky, he added, could create any provocation to upend a settlement and prolong the war to the last Ukrainian. Anxious to demonstrate alleged Russian atrocities, the Ukrainian leader will use any means within his reach, including attacks against his own cities and civilian population, or even using weapons of mass destruction such as dirty bomb. The former president claimed immediate rather extermination will solve the problem, Medvedev said, arguing that the metaphorical pest control should be done by Kiev's Western backers, including the US. So basically, earlier Medvedev stated that Zelensky is acting like, I'm paraphrasing by the way, but he was saying that Zelensky is acting nowadays like a rabbit farm animal and biting hands of owners of the farm. And he was commenting that on based on recent escalation between Kiev regime and Washington. Now he's stating that out of desperation, Zelensky may go as far in provocation as to use some dirty bomb And he is calling basically Western masters of Zelensky to take care of this cornered rat until it's not too late. Well, in one hand, it is good that Russian leadership is monitoring situation and I guess preparing for any possible scenario, including nuclear threat that may emerge from Kiev regime. But on the other hand, I personally think Zelensky, with the assistance of its Western backers, first of all, UK, France, some groups in US, may actually try to build their dirty bombs and then blackmail Russia. While officially declaring that Kiev regime now is in possession of nuclear weapons. Moscow cannot allow this to happen, and obviously just statements are not enough. And if Washington is not willing to, current leadership of US, Trump's administration is not willing for now to neutralize this cornered rat, Zelensky, then I guess Moscow has to act on its own and take out this threat, because in no circumstances, as Russian President Vladimir Putin stated recently, in no circumstances Moscow can allow Kiev regime to become a nuclear armed regime. So something is going to happen for sure, and I'm afraid you remember what I was saying, that before to the escalation we will see some higher level of, or unprecedented level of escalation. I'm afraid we are closing into that exact point. So let's see how things will develop. Meanwhile, relationships between Kiev regime and Washington is deteriorating on a daily basis, and Trump is more and more impatient in regards to Zelensky. His statements are more and more aggressive. He is clearly frustrated with this puppet of the CIA, that kind of acting like a rogue puppet now, or out of control. Maybe because Zelensky has received some additional support or promises from London and Paris, let's say. It is, possibility for sure. Well, Trump once again made demand that Kiev regime should pay compensation to US in about 400 to 500 billion US dollars for all the support that Kiev regime already received. Well, I don't know how Zelensky or Kiev regime gonna pay back these sums. This is not possible, but I guess Washington will try to force Zelensky to sign up on some papers which will transfer some rights on certain land in Kiev-controlled territory to Washington. I think this is a mistake, because Zelensky is not legit. He is not legit president, and therefore, no matter what kind of papers he's gonna sign, Washington will struggle really to defend then its so-called rights on anything in Kiev-controlled territory, because Moscow will say, you signed a paper with an illegit person, with someone, with a random person in Kiev-controlled territory, and why you think this paper means anything now? Same attitude might be demonstrated by Europeans and other countries worldwide. So if Trump wants to secure for US at least some minerals or natural resources that there is, let's say, in Western Ukraine, he have to rush, by the way, in terms of removing Zelensky and putting in someone with more legitimacy, and only then whatever agreements between that replacement of Zelensky will sign will have some legal basis, right? Meanwhile, very same Trump, by the way, stated that there is no need for Zelensky to be presented at the talks on Ukrainian crisis between Russia and Washington, between Russia and US, because Zelensky is not that important person, really. Let's translate this news, by the way. Trump is correct on that. Absolutely. I mean, what is the point Zelensky to be presented on talks between Moscow and Washington? There is no point in that, right? So the US president, in an interview with the Fox News radio station, said that Vladimir Zelensky is not a significant figure to participate in meetings dedicated to a peaceful settlement of the conflict in Ukraine. Trump's stressed that Zelensky had previously been present at the talks for several years, but had not achieved significant results. He, and then quote, by the way, Zelensky, complains that he is not at the meeting that we were holding in Saudi Arabia, trying to mediate. Well, he was in our meetings for 3 years with a president who did not know what the hell he was doing. Trump was referring to previous President Joe Biden. He was in the meetings for 3 years and nothing was achieved. So I don't think it's important to attend meetings. To be honest, the head of the White House stated. In addition, he noted that Zelensky has no cards up his sleeve for successful negotiations with Russia. He added that he had observed that the actions of the Ukrainian leader for many years and came to conclusion that he was unable to negotiate effectively, which is true, by the way. He not just unable to negotiate effectively, he banned any negotiations with the Russian side, while he had some legitimacy before his presidential term expired. And therefore, he cannot even rule back his decree, which imposed ban on negotiations with Russia. That has to be done by newly elected president, right? So Zelensky definitely is kind of cornered rat at this point, and extremely dangerous, together with his European backers and the backers from certain groups in US. And one should keep in mind that US deep state, by the way, may not be happy with Trump. Probably it is not happy, and the deep state can sabotage. Not just the European elites might sabotage US-Russia talks on resolution of many issues, including Ukrainian crisis, but US deep state and certain influential groups there may also sabotage these talks, attempts to de-escalate. And as I said, I'm afraid before true de-escalation begins, I'm afraid it is highly likely that we will see next phase of escalation from Kiev regime and its Western backers. And only after that, when Russia will have no option but to retaliate, truly retaliate on this next phase of escalation. Only after that, Western ruling class will finally come to terms that they have lost this proxy war against Russia, and they will start de-escalating, not just from US side, but also from side of EU member states that for now still are acting, or trying at least to act tough. Kommersant newspaper, meanwhile, is reporting that the US and Ukraine might sign agreement on rare earth materials in next several hours. This was initially reported, as I already said, there by Wall Street Journal, and it seems like Washington, for whatever reason, is quite determined to force Zelensky to transfer some rights on rare earth materials, on some natural resources, let's say, that is in Kiev control territory right now to US. But yet again, this would not be legit agreement. Everybody in this world will be able to dispute legitimacy of this agreement because Zelensky is not a legit president of Ukraine. And out of desperation, he might sign up on anything, on any paper. He might even gift entire Kiev control territory to US, but that paper will have no legit power, right? No legitimacy. But anyways, let's see if Wall Street Journal is correct, and if Zelensky will sign up for transferring some rights to US. He might, but why Trump needs this? when he seems like understands quite well that Zelensky is not legitimate, and that's why he's demanding elections to be held on Kiev-controlled territory, isn't it? Anyways, as I already said, relationships between Washington and the Kiev regime is deteriorating every single day. And we have now this report that the US is threatening to shut down Starlink in Ukraine. So the US officials have warned that they could block Ukraine from using Elon Musk's Starlink internet terminals if Kiev does not grant access to its critical mineral reserves. Reuters reported on Saturday, citing 3 people familiar with the matter. Musk, a major ally of US President Donald Trump, has donated more than 40,000 internet terminals since 2022, which was a grave mistake, by the way, on part of Elon Musk, and Russian side will remember that. Russian side will remember what kind of negative role Elon Musk played in this proxy war against Russia. And they will come when there will be some steps made in this direction. But anyways, according to Reuters, during a meeting between Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky and Trump's envoy Kat Kellogg in Kiev on Thursday, Ukrainians were told that they face an imminent shut off of the Starlink satellite services if they did not sign a deal on critical minerals with the US. Ukraine runs on Starlink. They consider it their North Star. Source told Reuters, adding that losing the service would be a massive blow for the Kiev regime. In an effort to ensure federal military and aid from the US, Zelensky has pitched Trump a preferential partnership in developing Ukraine's resources, including rare earth materials. However, he refused to sign an agreement that would have granted the US ownership of 50% of Ukraine's mineral wealth. I cannot sell our country, he said on Wednesday. Zelensky, that is. Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, said that Kiev's reaction was unacceptable and advised Ukrainian officials to tone it down and sign the minerals deal. Both Trump and Musk have ramped up their criticism of Zelensky earlier this week, branding him a dictator and claiming that he is deeply unpopular at home. Trump argued that Ukraine was in no position to complain about his decisions to restore direct talks with Russia that were suspended by his predecessor, former President Joe Biden. So, yes, either Kiev regime is signing for whatever papers Washington will give to him, and who knows what is going to be in those papers, by the way, or some pressure on Zelensky will further increase, including potentially cutting off Zelensky's regime's forces, armed forces, militaries, and the entire territory that is still controlled by Kiev regime from the internet that Elon Musk provides. Let's see. But yet again, I don't think people in the Trump's administration are fool and don't understand that anything that will be signed by Zelensky has no meaning, especially if agreement between Kiev regime and Washington will include territories that already are liberated by Russian forces or will be liberated by Russian forces in near future. So therefore, I guess focus in negotiations most likely will be on Western Ukraine. Western Ukraine that may not be rich with their natural resources that much, rare earth minerals or anything else, but still it is a land. It is a land there, and as far as I understand, the number of huge corporations from US has massive investments in Kiev-controlled territory, and they might receive something as a compensation in Western Ukraine. The rest of the territory of the former Soviet Republic is, I think, out of question. But west of Ukraine, yes, US might has some demands, some claims, although in this particular case, Washington will also have to deal with Hungary, Poland, Romania, potentially even Slovakia and Bulgaria, by the way, that may also have and most likely will have claims on the very same Western Ukraine, parts of Western Ukraine. Anyways, let's see how will things develop. But out of Western Ukraine, everything is Russia, and will either join Russia, let's say from Kharkiv to Odessa, or might maintain statehood, but exclusively in the Russian sphere of interest. And that will be potentially Kiev and surrounding few regions. Landlocked, that will maintain this landlocked quasi-state status. Let's see. It all depends, obviously, on negotiations and on situation developments on the line of contact. But this is my reading of big picture, and veterans of our community are quite familiar on that. On my reading of the big picture in regards to all this Ukrainian crisis. And dear friends, we also have this report from RIA Novosti that according to deputy of the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Ryabkov, already some preparations are underway to organize meeting between Trump, President of US Donald Trump, and President of Russia Vladimir Putin. Although it is early to state some, to share with the public some time frame when this meeting or where this meeting might take place, but understandably so, obviously. But it is good to know that representatives of the two countries are already preparing future meeting of the two presidents, which might take place in upcoming, maybe even days, or most likely in upcoming weeks, potentially in Saudi Arabia, although who knows. And dear friends, this update is already 27 minutes. Couple of more news, and the rest of the update, I will cut this update in two parts to make sure that it's not too long. So a couple of more news, and then I will end this update, first part of the update, and rest of the news that I have prepared. And there's quite a lot of news, by the way, interesting. Once the rest of the news in the second part, which will be published on my Patreon page. And before you will listen to or watch this part, first part, second part most likely will be already uploaded on Patreon and Boosty. Let's continue. Baerbock, by the way, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock is calling for high pressure on US, which is quite funny, when the German foreign minister is calling for pressure to be imposed on US. She is clearly losing understanding who is she and where is she and in what position. Otherwise, I don't think she would even dare to say anything like that Germany and some other European countries should increase pressure on US. What you are talking about? You are client state of US, right? All of you, majority of you at least in Europe. What kind of pressure you gonna impose on US? During a campaign event in Potsdam, Baerbock called for increased pressure on the United States, hinting at the possible break in ties. The reason for her statement was a statement of the US president about Vladimir Zelensky and Ukraine. Baerbock focused on the policy of their Zeitenwende turning point when Germany severed all ties with Russia, RIA Novosti report. 3 years ago, we said that this is a Zeitenwende. I don't know what that means in German, by the way. I guess it is in German. But anyways, now we need a second Zeitwende, no more hesitation and procrastination for the sake of our peace, the minister said. She stressed that Germany intends to increase pressure on the United States not to abandon its support for liberal democracies in Europe. Baerbock also called for patience while waiting for further developments in German-American relations, noting that nothing has been decided yet. The minister expressed their opinion that no one has the right to make decisions about war and peace without the participation of Ukraine and Europeans, which is, according to her, a clear position of Germany. Well, Annalena Baerbock probably will be reminded by her bosses in CIA shortly, or maybe already, that her place is somewhere there with a toothbrush in hand, and it is not her business to talk about some geopolitical stuff. I'm quite sure some high-ranking officials from Langley, CIA, already reminded her place. Most likely this is the case because, come on, man, I don't think US will tolerate these puppets of the CIA to bark too much, really. Them I don't really care. Obviously, they don't care what Baerbock has to say, but it's not good optics when your puppets are barking at you and threatening you, right? So therefore, Washington has to take some steps to bring this out of control so-called elites in Europe into their senses, and they will. And one by one, all these hotheads in Germany, in France, in UK, one by one, all of them will will start queuing in to kiss the feet of the Trump. That's what is going to happen, by the way. Like it or hate it, but these client states have no say, man. They were allowed to act as if they are truly independent states, but it was just a show, right? And right now, I don't think US is that interested in this show. Anyways, still, by the way, as Zelensky demonstrated, that even puppets might try to go wild and rogue. Obviously, some so-called elites in Europe may also try and do the same, especially if they know that some groups in US, let's say in deep state, some powerful groups will support them. So therefore, it is a risk that European so-called elites will go wild, go rogue together with Zelensky and some groups in US, and will further intensify this crisis or this proxy war that West is waging against Russia, and they will definitely try to derail Washington-Moscow talks. So, yes, sir, these are puppets, somewhat irrelevant elements on the geopolitical map, but still due to their official position, they may pose some threat, and Washington does definitely have to keep that in mind while making its next steps. And also, by the way, when it comes to Germany, even though Baerbock is acting tough or trying at least to act tough, we have a report here that during the Scholz's leadership, and Baerbock is of course foreign minister in Scholz cabinet, Germany's share in the world economy has dropped on lowest level in decades and decades, and stands right now at 3.08%. It is quite telling, isn't it? So while these so-called officials in Germany are acting as if they are someones, all they did in reality is demolish German economy, so much so that each share in the world economy is now at 3.08%, lowest level since, I don't know, decades and decades, by the way. Highest level was in 91, when German economy was 5.4%. German economy share was 5.4% in the world economy. Now it's 3%. And dear friends, I give you this news, and I will end this update on that. Interfax is reporting that the British Prime Minister plans to announce a new military aid package to Kiev regime on Monday. No details what kind of weapons may be in that new aid package. UK don't really has that much weapons left. They might send a couple of more Storm Shadow cruise missiles, a few more air defense systems, or at least missiles to air defense systems, some armored carriers, armored personnel carriers, maybe shells, and that's about it. London, out of desperation, might even transfer to Kiev regime another 10 or 20 or I don't know 50 Challenger 2 tanks, but obviously it's just an act of desperation, really, because in reality, no matter how many weapons UK or any other NATO member state will send to Kiev regime, it will not turn the tide. Western ruling class lost this war against Russia. Only formalization of is left, and one way or another, but they will come when Western so-called elites will have no option but to face reality and acknowledge that yes, they lost it. So yes, I will end this first part of the update on this news, dear friends, that on Monday Stammer will announce another military aid package to Kiev regime. Let's see what it's going to be. And as I said, dear friends, for second part, I have another, quite a number of interesting news. And before you will listen to this video or watch, that second part will be published, uploaded on my Patreon and Boosty pages. And if you are subscribed, you can go straight away and see that second part. If you are not subscribed, I hope you will consider to subscribe to my Patreon and Boosty. You will support this project by doing so, and also you will have access to more news and commentary. So yes, this is it for now. I hope you will find the video informative and interesting, useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way we can at least try and influence this algorithm that is going wild, by the way. Once after Trump was inaugurated, algorithm become even more strict. I don't know why, but that's what I'm observing on YouTube in regards to my videos. So yes, if you can also share information about my channel or my videos with your friends. And finally, if you like my work, if you like my channels, if you think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support her. You can do it by subscribing to my Patreon or Boosty pages, or through donations. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Once again, have a wonderful day, great weekend, and take care.